So I'm joined here today with Connor Harris, who is the founder and director of newly started estate agent and letting agent Marco Harris, which started, and you started your journey, Connor, I think all back probably about 8-10 years ago now, isn't it, in the industry, and you're now sort of setting up and opening your doors to your own as of January this year. I know we've obviously had a chat about a few questions of what I'm going to ask you and how you're finding things and things like that. So are you happy for me to go in with question number one?
Yeah, go for it.
Question number one, and again, you might have a different take on this question compared to some of your competitors, because I know obviously you've come from a sort of a hybrid background more recently. So question one is, what would you have done differently if you had been given potentially maybe 2 months notice of this pandemic happening? What would you have done differently?
I think if it was 2 months, first of all, we wouldn't have started the business now. We're in a fairly privileged position, I think, simply because when we were going through the motions of setting up the business, we obviously, I've come from, like you say, a slightly hybrid way of working and also done traditional agency. And what we really wanted to achieve is to try and merge both of them together to give customers a great experience, but still the flexibility of having some element of control or no element of control, and we deal with it for them. So when we were setting up the business, we put a lot of thought into that experience and that process, meaning that we could operate remotely, give customers that control that they desire if that's something they're looking to do, and if they want to do it online, like some of the more hybrid, I'll say hybrid agencies, then that's something they can do. So I suppose we're really privileged because that has fed into this pandemic, meaning that we can still operate our business to a certain degree by the tools and technology that we've employed and built into our business model, which is proven to be, a real success during this time. It's going to be, majorly difficult, I think, for potentially some agents that are not as much technology led. To be able to give customers the insight of these properties that are currently available, whether to sell or to let. And we've been doing kind of the video tours and all the kind of things that you see a lot of agents now doing. We've been doing them since we opened in January.
Sort of part of your standard package, that, isn't it? I think if sort of your standard.
Yeah, so we offer professional photography. A video tour is standard. No extra add-ons for that. That's just part of what we believe should come with a listing service with any agent. And so that's helped us massively, because where we've got customers still looking to move, whether that be buying a property or letting a property, they get a different aspect and stance on the property rather than just looking at photos. And we're flexible because it's owned by myself and a business partner. We can adapt the processes within a click rather than having to, change a full system, if that makes sense. We can pick bits out and change bits that are going to work for the customers.
Brilliant. So it sounds like it certainly paid off for you with your experience in that and sitting here now with what we're facing.
Absolutely.
A bit ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, certainly we've seen a slight downturn in inquiry level and properties coming to market. But I also think that that's going to be a positive thing for when the lockdown's lifted, because I think the market will be strong.
Oh, brilliant. No, it's good. Question number two was, what or who has impressed you at this time? Most impressed you. What's most impressed you? That doesn't have to be work, could be out of work. What's most impressed you?
I think on a personal level, firstly, I'll split this into two, more of a personal one and potentially a business one. Personally, I think what's impressed me is the way that people have adapted as a whole, but more importantly, my wife. Being we've got a new baby, 4 months old, so it's been a really kind of changing time in our life. Having a baby and starting a business at the same time is mental, but all good things coming through. But I've got a 6-year-old daughter, a newish born baby, and so me now being kind of taken over the kitchen is my office, and my wife having to homeschool, and at the same time as me trying to still build the brand, being a new business. She's been massively supportive and understanding, but also having to take on kind of 17 jobs at once, so to speak. So that's impressed me. In terms of, I suppose, more generically, and going back to my point is, I think the UK has really shown an element of unity and strength in relation to supporting the NHS, really looking at what's important to our culture and our human race. And I think it's been awesome to see so many people showing support for local businesses, and really pushing the kind of support local campaigns. And I think that's massively important coming out the other side of this, that hopefully people will hold on to and understand that local businesses are the ones that are there to really help communities and grow with the communities in hand.
Couldn't agree more. No, very good. In respect of your time, and I appreciate you're still working and things like that. And again, this is probably another question which could be several answers. But describe something that you've sort of really, really enjoyed at this time.
Yeah, I think again, going back to my kids, being an estate agent, and I know that your past is in the same industry. You'll agree with me. It isn't, if you're committed, it doesn't become a 9-to-5 job. This is more of a lifestyle position, because ultimately with our business as well, we haven't set hours simply for the convenience of customers. So usually I'm used to working 12, 14, 16-hour days, whatever the customer needs. And actually what I've had to change and adapt the way that I work to fit with the family life and being at home. But it's been so nice having some more time with the kids and some quality time. Imagine. Especially with the summer barbecues. Wow. Spring barbecue.
Yeah. I can imagine. I think my missus can't wait for me to go back to work, but that's another story. Question number 4, and this is again a bit of a generic one, but what do you think the biggest change will be when we get back to some form of normality? What do you think the biggest change will be in the property market?
The property market particularly, I think this time's been, I suppose, everyone has spent more time at home than they probably ever spent in their lifespan of living in one property. There's going to be a load of DIY that's happened for one. I've seen the queues outside B&Q. But I think that the home improvements are certainly going to put, I suppose, a ticket into someone's head to think, actually, do I know how much the property's worth now? So I think a lot of people are going to be considering potentially moving the improvements that they've done. And also there's going to be the other side where a lot of people have understood that actually we may have outgrown this home, or we may need something else now, like garden, outside space, bigger living space, more bedrooms. So I think ultimately it's going to change just simply because people have got to know the homes that they reside in a lot better than they ever have done before. The areas, the local amenities, all of them things kind of encumbered into one is going to make some decisions, I think, for them. But I think generally the property market, I personally feel there's going to be a boom bounce and we're going to bounce back hard, where I think the demand is going to be huge, because there's going to be a lot of people pre-lockdown that were looking to move that didn't because of the situation, that are going to come back out and be, a force in terms of trying to find somewhere to purchase. And on the flip side, on the letting side, is that a lot of people, we saw, especially from some facts that have been out in the media this week, a lot of people that were due to renew their contracts in March, or leave their contracts in March, have actually renewed, so they're staying on in their tenancies longer. And that may only be for a shorter period of time. So I think there's going to be a lot of movement overall in the market.
No, I tend to agree with you on every point there, and especially obviously with time of year. If this does inevitably end, in the next month or 6 weeks, it is the most favourite time of people to put their house on the market in the summer months and sort of move towards the early winter, isn't it? So no, great. I couldn't agree more. Question number 5, and this is, you can answer it anyway. What was the first thing you're to do when the lockdown's over?
I was talking to my wife about this, and I think a lot of people. I was evaluating kind of, we're not able to go and do the normal things, go out for a meal, go to the pub for a drink, and I think that I've got a very small list of things that I actually miss when I think about it hard and actually put my thoughts onto paper. And the amount of things that I actually do miss is very small. But the first thing I'm going to do is see the parents, see the close ones, and make sure that they can see the grandkids. And a bit of quality time, I think, with family is right up there in my top of priority list. And then the second one is a drafted pint at the pub.
Oh, can't wait. Can't wait. No, thanks, Connor, for obviously sort of freeing up some time and having a chat with us today. So anyone watching or listening, please get in contact with Marco Harris across Southampton and Portsmouth if you're looking to sell or net.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Connor. Thanks, Connor. Cheers.